Throughout human history, disagreements have resulted in violence and retaliation. Rebellions and militias are commonplace throughout the world. They stand and fight against oppressive governments and ideals, and exist within a gray area between freedom fighting and terrorism.
Ultimate Halo.
This is no different as we enter the 26th century. But with advanced technology and weaponry, we see a new breed of warfare that would go on to inspire the Spartan program, spawning soldiers bred for the war against insurrectionism. My name is Token, and you're watching the history of the Insurrectionists. As humanity expanded into the depths of space, there slowly came about a divide between the core worlds and newly terraformed planets. The inner colonies prided themselves on their prestigious history, often looking down upon the outer colonies that quite often only served as massive agriculture and mining infrastructures. Earth and the inner colonies became exceedingly dependent on these resources, however, prompting Earth to take steps to ensure that they stayed loyal to its authority. The military was strictly vetted, the high ranks being selected from Earth's finest. However, recruitment standards had considerably loosened, as did the governing of these settlements, making them a haven for Earth and inner colony citizens unhappy with their increasingly oppressive government. In the early days of human colonization, UNSC naval escorts and shipboard marine complements had accompanied the outbound colony ships in order to maintain security, as well as to justify the continued upkeep of the UNSC's massive military, which had not been needed in its original capacity for well over a century. As colonization became more affordable and widespread, the outer colonies initially lacked a pervasive military presence, apart from the colonial military administration, whose true loyalties ultimately lied with the colonies instead of Earth. As piracy began to plague the colony systems, some of the colonies appealed to the UNSC for protection, who at the time were exclusive to the Sol system. This began the UNSC's involvement in the outer colonies. Following the rapid growth of human-controlled space throughout the 25th century, the UEG found it increasingly difficult to maintain its hold over the outer colonies, which were spanning great distances from Earth. By 2490, the outer colonies surpassed the core worlds in number by several hundred and eventually bred a strong sense of nationalism among their citizens, which in turn led to their disdain of the UEG as they felt it was an outside force. Civil disobedience was commonplace, often taking the form of tax refusal and the establishment of unauthorized settlements out with the government. To combat these issues, the Colonial Administration Authority attempted to appease demands. For example, the registration of births to government records was kept entirely voluntary. However, most outer colony citizens took advantage of the benefits offered to them, including their free vaccination program. As a result of the growing rumblings of discontent, many inhabitants of Earth and the inner colonies began to feel threatened by the outer colonies surrounding them. The UEG and its colonial governing and military entities continued to maintain their military presence and economic control over the colonies, with trade restrictions and taxes creating further dissatisfaction among the colonists, provoking radicalism. While outspoken and violent resistance against Earth was initially confined to separate insurgent organizations, even the leadership of some outer colonies would eventually be sympathetic to the insurrectionist cause. On top of this, elements of the colonial military administration had become increasingly sympathetic to the cause, eventually providing them with information, funding, and equipment. The CMA's involvement with the rebels then went public in 2497, leading to the organization's gradual dissolve and its replacement with the UNSC as the primary military force patrolling the colonies. In 2491, Dr. Elias Carver presented a set of theories known as the Carver Findings to the UNSC High Command. According to Dr. Carver, it was only a matter of time before social order in the outer colonies would break down completely. To stabilize them, Carver recommended a swift and extensive military action on the part of the UNSC. Carver's critics asserted that the situation between the core worlds and the outer colonies could be stabilized through diplomacy if given enough time. However, the UNSC military adopted the Carver Findings as their standard model and sought to curb any major unrest with military intervention. In the same year, the UNSC resurrected the Orion Project, creating the first generation of super soldiers designed to quickly eliminate the rebel leadership. Carver's proposal also informed the creation of the subsequent Spartan II program, although by the time of its creation, the predicted scenario was even bleaker. where an endless apocalyptic civil war between the inner and outer colonies raged. After the onset of the Human Covenant War, the Spartans were reprioritized to deal with the new alien enemy, becoming increasingly successful and well publicized in this role. Moving back, a pivotal event which is often considered to have started the insurrection was the Callisto Incident, where we saw the scope of conflict widen from occasional colonial rebellions into hostilities on a much larger scale. As the story goes, the UNSC Callisto, a corvette, was captured by insurrectionists when boarding merchant vessels, and all the UNSC crew aboard it was killed. In response, the UNSC sent a battle group of 3 light destroyers, the Jericho, the Buenos Aires, and the Las Vegas, and on March 2nd, 2494, the battle group eventually found the Callisto in the 26th Draconis system. All 3 ships fired 6 missiles at the renegade destroyer. However, the Callisto managed to avoid destruction by maneuvering behind an asteroid. The insurrectionists then detonated a nuke hidden inside the asteroid, which then launched debris toward the UNSC ships. Buenos Aires was engulfed in the explosion, facing utter destruction, with the other 2 ships suffering serious damages. Second Lieutenant Preston Cole, as the only conscious officer aboard the bridge of the Las Vegas, took control of the vessel. He signaled the Callisto, activating the ship's distress signals, and requested medical aid for the wounded. But this was a ruse. When the Callisto docked with the Las Vegas in order to take command of the ship, Cole detonated the Vegas's last missile, which had been planted inside the docking bay, causing huge damages to the Callisto. Cole then bluffed by opening the empty missile silos on his ships and ordered the Callisto to surrender and allow the Vegas's AI to take control. Following this incident, the insurrection began to spread to other systems, including the Eridanus system, which became embroiled in a local insurrection that same year. However, this rebellion was quickly crushed at the cost of a whole 4 destroyers, though the rebels in the system retreated into the asteroid belt and would continue to operate for several decades later. As the fighting spread, the outer colonies became a battleground between the UNSC Navy and the rebels' makeshift fleets. In June of 2501, an insurgent captured a UNSC frigate named the Bellerophon after the Greek hero and slayer of monsters, but the insurrectionists quickly renamed it to the Bellicose, meaning to fight willingly and aggressively, which fit with their cause. The ship was pursued multiple times by the UNSC Gorgon, commanded by Preston Cole. Their third encounter brought both ships into the Theta Ursa Major system. After a battle in which the Bellicose managed to dodge a Mac round, the Bellicose's crew contacted the Gorgon, in which they exchanged taunting messages. Preston Cole then let the ship escape, and after laying traps in 5 systems over the course of 3 months, Cole had yet to find the captured ship. In June of 2503, Admiral Harold Stanforth sent Cole a transmission telling him that Oni had uncovered the civilian identity of the captain of the Bellicose, Loren Castilla, and that she had been spying on him. Cole went to confirm this, only to find that Castilla had robbed him of everything, leaving only a printout of the exchange they had between the Bellicose and the Gorgon. In January of that next year, 4 destroyers engaged the Bellicose and reported that the ship had apparently been caught in the gravitational pull of a gas giant, later being obliterated. With the printout of Cole's exchange in the hands of the UNSC, he faced a court-martial for conspiring with the enemy and giving Castilla knowledge of the UNSC's slipspace upgrades, and this all could have led to his execution. However, Harold Stanforth stepped in and vouched for him, and Cole was merely relocated to Earth with a desk job. The reports of the Bellicose's demise were incorrect, however, and the ship remained in the shadows until eventually reappearing with an insurrectionist fleet, dealing the Covenant a crippling blow in the Battle of Psi Serpentis years later. Anyways, my name is Token and thank you for watching this video. Part 2 will be coming next week. Before you go, I'd like to say thanks to Fletch and Kenny for hosting this video here on Ultimate Halo. Make sure to subscribe to their channel for more awesome Halo content. And whoa, if you like shooting stuff so much, then check this video out. I'll teach you all the tricks to Fallout 4 you'll need. Just check it out. You gotta click on it. Anyways, I'll catch you later.
Subscribe now for more unfriggin' believable Halo content.